everyone. Welcome to the Business Zone. Crystal and Gilbert. Another fantastic conversation we're going to have today. Last week, we talked about mastering communication, the difference between men and women. And so today, we're actually going to talk about the art of negotiation, because that's vital, I think, when we are doing business, especially in the supplier diversity space. And so this is Gilbert's wheelhouse. And so we're going to let him run with this one. And then I will talk about digital. If we have enough time today, then I'll talk about digital communication. But we're going to kick off the show and kick off our intro, and then we'll just come right on in and just start talking.
Yes, sir. So, folks, this is the Business Zone. Of course, my co-host said with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4:30. And if you're just joining us, or if you just stumbled across us by accident, this is one of the number one small business show out there in the marketplace. We help small businesses to become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. So I'm going to make a shameless plug here, co-host.
All right, go right ahead. You're welcome to do so.
So I have my mentorship program coming up, guys. It's going to be on May 12th. So it's 32 days from today. So I would like to invite all of you small businesses who are looking to get government contracts, whether you never had one before, you're trying to get one, you heard about government contracts, you've had one before, but it didn't go so well, so you want a second bite at the apple. Well, this is the place to go. This mentorship program will help you guys. It's going to take you step by step through the process. It's going to show you how to write proposals, do your bids, your pricing, capability statement of qualifications, all of that good stuff. I'm even going to show you how to do elevator pitch, how to pitch yourself to contract providers, guys. This is the second cohort. The first cohort was amazing. They graduated last month. So we want to graduate you guys so you can go after those contracts and go talk to those contract providers. I'll put my contact information in the chat later on in the show, but this is what this program is all about, guys. We're here to help you as a small business. So again, like I say, if you're just tuning in, this program is called the Business Zone. So, co-host, how are you doing?
I'm good. I actually had a pretty decent week this week. I finished up with that client that I was doing that excessive bookkeeping on. And so I was able to breathe easy by the time I got to Thursday. So that
you could sleep.
I could sleep because that was wearing me out. But I did get two very great compliments.
All right. Tell me about it.
I guess. So on Monday, one of my clients, I think I've mentioned to you, she's a paraclimber. She is number 4 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for Paralympics. And so she is actually in the process of going, and there's only 2 spots on the U.S. team. She's selected for the Olympics, but she's got to now get to the actual placing on the Olympic team for 2028. And so in fact, tomorrow she's going to be competing again. So, so she Intuit. She's part of the Intuit Ideas program with the Urban League.
Yeah.
And so I'm her coach.
And
I'm her coach, and so we've been doing some intensified coaching.
No, making you proud, huh?
Yeah, making me proud. And so she actually was asked by Intuit if she would like to be interviewed. And so she said, of course, yes. And she says, and I want my coach to be there. So I actually was interviewed
Righty there.
by Intuit Ideas, and she was telling them this program, or you can get tools, but tools are nothing if you don't understand and have someone as a coach or a mentor to help you through that process. So she says Crystal has been awesome helping me, and I
Love
think I've
that.
come a long way, and it wouldn't have happened with her. So that was the very first one. So at some point there's a video that's going to come out with us having a conversation or being interviewed. And then secondly, I had a young lady on the community briefing yesterday. Her name is Rakina Lucky, and she's actually a film director, playwright. She's worked on some television, some TV shows, as well as a writer. But so she was on as a guest because she's running her a play. Her second play is at this Saturday at the Miracle Theater in Inglewood. But she was part of the last year's Intuit program, and I did a number of financial classes there. And so before she even got started, she goes, "I just want to tell you, Crystal, you made a statement when you were teaching that really you asked, so how you gonna make money?" Because as she's telling me, and they're telling me all these wonderful flowery things. So my question was, so how you gonna make money? What's the business model? And she says,
That made her think, huh?
it made her think, and she said, I had to go, what is my business model, right? I'm a writer, I want to do plays, but how do I get paid? And
Yeah.
so she said, I helped her get on the right pathway, and now she has multiple revenue streams coming in. And so that was my compliment.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing how we, as a business coaches, we can just ask one question, and that one question can change the life and the entrepreneurial path of an entrepreneur. Isn't that amazing?
And when you're doing a webinar, you don't even know who you're talking to, right?
That's
You
true.
have no idea who, because you don't really see all the pictures of all the people in there,
Yeah.
and they're not on the screen with you. And so, I mean, you try to say things that's going to be very inspiring and encouraging, but you never know. And so she let me know that I helped her get on the right pathway, and she says, and now I know exactly how I'm going to get paid, and I thank you for that, because she said I was all over the place. So coaching is important. We can't say that enough. Coaching is vital to a business owner's success and moving forward, especially if you're a new entrepreneur and you're just kind of walking through the ropes and you really have no clue. And being that we're always a one-man army anyway, when we first start out, you don't even have any employees to bounce that stuff off on. So really, really important, guys. If you're losing direction or not even quite sure or not making money and you think you should be making money, then you really want to be able to either Gilbert and his cohort that's coming up. So you want to stay tuned when he populates that information in the chat. And or myself, I'm over at the Urban League right now. You can reach out to me over there, and coaching is not free. It's your tax dollars at work for you. So you really need to take advantage of organizations that have these technical assistant programs, because they actually are your tax dollars. So you ought to get some of that money back, man. It's important.
And I just want to add this also, co-host. I would like for entrepreneurs to think of these programs that we offer this way, as an investment in their business to grow it. Because your competitors are looking at it that way. They're looking when they hire a coach, they hire a consultant, or they get an investment in growing their business with an opportunity to increase their ROI, their rate of return on investment. So I would love entrepreneurs thinking of these things that way, because when this is a cost I'm going to have to pay to go to this program. Nothing in this world is free. If you get something for free, there's a cost to it on the back end. Whether you're going to get crappy services because it's free, or at some point you're not going to get the level of service you're looking for. So now you're going to have to pay for it, or something is going to go wrong where you're going to have to pay to fix it. So some way, shape, or form, you're going to have to pay, guys, for free services. So when you're receiving a service and you don't have to pay, you should be happy that, hey, at least I can ensure and hold these folks accountable so they will deliver quality service. Because when you're receiving free services, then you can't demand quality. You cannot demand quality for free services.
I didn't pay a thing, but I want the best service you got. And if not, I'm going to complain to the manager.
I'm going to write a complaint. I want to speak to the manager. So I want entrepreneurs to start thinking that way, man. Everything I do, I spend money on in my business, I see it as an investment, because I'm going, okay, I'm spending X right now, but I'm expecting to get 5X on it once this is all said and done. That's how I'm looking at it. But you're spending X. Well, I mean, you're not spending X, you're spending minus X, and you expect to get X plus plus.
Right. You want a plus on your minus, huh? And that, my dears, that math does not math.
It's not
mathing. You get what you pay for.
You want to tell them how to subscribe to our program, co-host?
Yes, everyone. So we're going to get ready started with our great conversation on the art of negotiation. But in the meantime, we're going to ask you to go over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. You can access our channel by using your QR code right here on the screen, and then go over to our channel and hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you find this conversation riveting, and also put in some comments if you have any questions. We're going to ask you some questions. If you ever the first question is, have you lost an opportunity because you truly did not know how to negotiate? Have you, under question 2, do you feel you were underpaid because you didn't know how to negotiate? And did you actually just lose a deal because you didn't know how to do that? And so if that's the case, then this is the place you need to be. And we ask you to put that, hit the like and hit the subscribe button, and as well ask us some questions. We will get back to you on it. And so with that, we are ready to go. Mr. Gilbert, play our intro.
All righty, now that's what I'm talking about. So I want to say a shout out to Pat. I call her Miss St. Clair in the chat right there. She says hello to the C&G family. So she's talking about Crystal and Gilbert. So we got a new name today. So it's the Business Zone with C&G, folks.
C&G.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Much love, much love. So for all of you, again, who are tuning in for the first time, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We've been on the air for over 9 years now. So you can hear how seasoned we are, just the way we dialogue, we talk about subjects. We're not one of those, Johnny Just Come podcaster like some of the ones you hear out there go, well, let's see, what am I going to talk about today? No, we come organized. We know what we're talking about. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cue the intro for this show. We're going to let you guys know what this show is all about. Check it out.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah.
When I look at that film, that the many faces of Crystal, the many hairdos of
I
Crystal.
know. I was looking at those. I said, "Hey, my co-host is a model. Look at her."
She has multiple hairstyles.
Oh man.
All righty, let us get going. This actually, I think, is one of your favorite topics and one of
Oh
the favorite
yeah.
things that you like to do.
Uh-huh.
And I've seen you in action a number of times.
So
And I
I
think,
love it. I love it when I talk with entrepreneurs, man, and I try to get them motivated on understanding, when you're selling your product and services, you're not just selling your product and services, you're selling your reputation, your personality, you're selling partnership, you're selling relationship, you're selling trust, you're selling integrity, you're selling all of those things when you're trying to negotiate and you're selling your services. So today, folks, we want to start talking to the women entrepreneurs because they are the ones, I call that group, the female, the women-owned business owners, I call them the invisible small business because people don't see or hear them, people don't listen to them. And they're not the only one that's invisible, but I think they're the most invisible ones because they get the least access to opportunities. So we want to provide some tools and resources so women-owned entrepreneurs can understand that they're not alone. We're here for them. And since we've been in the industry for so long, at least 3 decades, we want to provide some resources to help them along because at the end of the day, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get them government contracts. We want them to be able to go into that room, sit with a contract provider and negotiate whether they're selling a product or a service. So that's what we're trying to do. So, like my co-host said, let's talk about negotiation.
yeah, let's talk about it. And I'm glad you talked about the woman because
Yeah,
our negotiating skills are a little bit different than men.
yeah,
Um, and depending on how confident we are in with our business and what we're selling, and it can either help or not help, um, or be very problematic actually. And I
yeah.
remember one of my friend Alicia Madison, that's over the Bella Group.
Uh-huh.
Alicia is in she worked at Northrop, and she was a chemist and a chemical engineer.
Yeah.
And so when she was at Northrop, she said when she first got there, she had a lot of problems getting respect from the male employees or her male counterparts. And so she had a mentor, and she said the one thing her mentor told her was she needed to, when she was speaking, she needed to lower the pitch of her voice
Hmm.
so that they wouldn't hear because her voice was on a higher note,
So
and
she was high pitched.
yeah, she was high pitched, and
Oh,
so
okay.
and he said that was some of the reasons it was challenged was because
Okay.
of the fact that they just kind of tuned her out when they heard that. So she had to practice. This is when she first started at Northrop, and she said she had to practice getting her voice tone lower so that
Uh-huh.
they would take her serious.
Right. And that makes sense to me because when I first heard that said lower the tone of your voice or the pitch, I was thinking, well, when I heard lower your voice, the first thing I thought about was lowering the tone, not the pitch. Because a lot of folks they speak really high pitched on a continuous level, and
Hmm.
they don't really realize how annoying that could be, one, to the ear, and also to other folks who are just listening, and especially folks who are trying to make decisions about you. So this is very important. You mentioned that, co-host. I never thought about it. So that's a point I'm going to include in my book, co-host, with your permission.
Of course.
I'm going to include that in my book. Talk about the pitch and the tone.
I'm quoted quite often in the book.
Yes, yes. You will be quoted a lot in this book because since we're talking about that invisible small business, and that category fits the women-owned business owners a lot, and you are a woman-owned business owner. You and I work very closely together on this podcast. Yes, your voices will be echoed in that book a lot.
Well, I do appreciate it. I'm rarely ignored, but I do appreciate it.
Yes,
All right.
yes. So the thing about negotiation, co-hosts, the thing about it is a lot of women business owners, they leave a lot of money on the table, literally. And part of that reason is, they don't know they're doing that. And like you said earlier about this one particular person you just referenced, her pitch was super high. She didn't recognize that. That could be another reason why she leaves money on the table, because she might be making some great points in her presentation, but just the fact that the delivery, the way it sounds, the way it comes across, folks go, I don't want to hear this anymore. I know it's some great points, but I cannot stand it, so I gotta go. So
Right.
that could be another way that she's leaving money on the table as well. You know,
Yeah, very, very possible. So she did change, and she had a 25-year career there. So she
yeah,
obviously she did change, so it did work.
yeah,
But yeah, sometimes you have to think about it. And right now I don't know. Oh, excuse me. There are a number of companies out there that there's one called Voice Image, and
uh-huh.
it actually it's a self-directed course
Hmm.
on you learning how to get the maximum out of your voice, especially if you're podcasting or you're doing commercials for your business, so that people can resonate with what you're saying. Um and, and, and there was I think when I took sociology, they were saying if a male, especially a man, his mom had a high pitch voice, and she spent a lot of time fussing at them.
Yeah.
Boys learn to eventually tune out their mother. And so some of it had to do with their upbringing and what their mother sounded like to them, because that does tend to happen.
That
Men tune
that
out
is
their mothers and
that
their
is
wives.
hilarious, but it's true, man. It's true.
It's true.
It's true, man. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of men, they just learn to ignore certain things because they're going, okay, I cannot do anything about it. I cannot change it because you're not going to listen. So I just got to find a way to deal with it. And the way to deal with it is just to tune it out. Tune it out. Sing a song in your mind or pray to the Lord or something.
See, that's in the sociology books.
That's in the sociology book right there. So those are ways, man. Those are ways that we can overcome that. And I want to make another recommendation how to deal with the voice. If the voice, when you're having conversations or discussions or a meeting or an interview with someone who is a business owner, female business owner, high pitched voice, and it's really annoying. One way to, as business coaches, that we can help them is to one, encourage them to record themselves and play it back and listen. Just record it. Say, hey, this information right here that we just went over, I'd like you to record it. Record it on your phone, and I want you to play it back for me because I really want to gather the essence of what you're saying, and I really want to hear it. So then in that recording, when it's being played back, because you notice when a lot of people play back a video or an audio of themselves, they start criticizing it. Oh my God, I sound like that. No, that's not me. I look that way. They do that, you know?
And
So,
that's a lot of the feedback I get from people when they say that, oh, I would love, I spoke to someone this week and they're like, oh, I'd love to have a podcast. I said, well, they're not that challenging to set up.
yeah.
She's like, but I don't think I like my voice. Well, whose voice do you like? It's yours. It's not like you can change it.
Yes, yes, yeah. That's why you see a lot of broadcasters. They send them to school, broadcasting school, so they learn diction, delivery, and all of those things, annotation, all of that. In the voice, the delivery. Because
Mm,
if you're going to be on the radio, say for half an hour or an hour, that's a half an hour or 1 hour that someone's going to have to listen to you. And if you cannot hold their attention within that 30 minutes or that 60 minutes, then there might be an issue. So you got to figure out a way. And that's why a lot of people, you hear them have that voice. And, they can take it up, they can take it down, they can take it all over the place, and you still want to listen because they know how to deliver and manage that voice. So that's part of that. Now, I'm not going to say I was an expert in that, but I learned a little bit about that back in my days because I have a degree in communication and I went through the broadcasting process and all of that too. So I was able to, pick up some things. I had mentors. I listened to them. The best way is see, like how we're doing the podcast now, co-host.
mm-hmm.
This is what I do all the time. Okay, so every week we do the podcast. The next day or the day after, I will listen. I'll go back to YouTube. I'll play the show again, and I'll listen to my voice. I listen to things I'm saying. I listen to my delivery, and sometimes it may sound a little shaky. It didn't sound too right. I say, I don't like that. The next time I'm gonna have to say it differently or say it a little better. But that's how you learn. That's how you improve yourself. Because
Right.
what you're hearing is what the audience is hearing too.
Exactly. So yeah, you have to do some practicing, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get
Oh,
at
for
it.
sure, for sure.
Right. Yeah. So
Because
yeah.
remember, when we first started this, we were doing this live on air. We were doing it in the studio, a radio station / television station. So we're doing ours live. So, our voices have grown since then because we understand the delivery process. We listen to. We've got over 800 videos recorded of us doing shows. So
Yeah.
there was a lot for us to listen to. So we're saying this just to say, women. We're not picking on women-owned businesses. The reason we're talking about women entrepreneurs today, guys, is simply because we started this process in March, which was Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
So that we're dedicating the shows to women entrepreneurs, and that's why we came up with this material, which has been a hit. A lot of people love what we're saying in terms of communication and other things, business growth, development, getting ready to go after contracts and all of that. So that's why we're talking about this. But one of the key things that we want to deliver here today in terms of negotiation is best practices. So we want to look at effective best negotiation practices for businesses. And there are 3 areas to that part. It's the preparation, which is, listening to your voice and doing the things that you're supposed to do. Getting your materials ready and practice your materials, before you actually get into the negotiation aspect of it. Active listening is a big part. And, when we talk about communication, active listening is all about 80% of listening and then 20% of speaking. That's active listening, right? You listen to understand and then to respond. You do not want to listen to respond or to react. You don't want to listen to respond or to react. You want to listen to understand. And if you're not quite sure if you understand, just ask questions for clarification. This is what I hear you say. Is that correct? And the person will say, no, that's not what I said. Or they'll say, oh, yeah, sure. That's exactly what I said. So then you confirmed it, and then you both are on the same page, and then you can move on to the next point. But if you didn't clarify the point that you thought you heard, then there could be some misunderstanding and some miscommunication going on there in the negotiation process. You may hear something, and the speaker might be saying something. This is one thing I want to put out there since we're talking about active listening, co-host. One thing I want to put out there is, and a lot of people don't pay attention to this. The first thing I want to say is, let's use a telephone conversation. When someone calls you on a phone, some people, when they receive that call, they just start talking to the person, right? But best practice is when someone calls you on the phone, is you respond, you said, hello, who is this? With whom am I speaking? That type of thing. And then let them tell you why they called you. Let them tell you why they're calling and what is it they want from you. Because sometimes the person on the other line, the caller, they have something very important to tell you. But then you answer the phone and you start talking, yabbity, 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 yabbity. And the person is going, wait a second, I didn't even get to say what I called you about. And then before you know it, conversation is over, bam, the phone gets hung up, and you still didn't tell them what you called them about. Especially if it's a business partner, a contract officer, or somebody to that effect. You never want to disappoint those people. So
exactly. Or is a person over 50 and they're trying to hold the message in their head, and by the time you get through doing your thing, they are like, oh, okay, well, thanks for calling. Wait, but you called me. Oh yeah, but I don't even remember at this point what I was calling you. I'll remember and call you back.
That is so true, man. That is so true. And, just listen to the person. And, like I said, do not listen to react, listen to understand. And if you don't understand, you ask clarification, let them verify what they're saying. So then you can get to what you need to do or deliver what you want to deliver. The next thing I want to say, when there's a communication going on between two or more people, the person speaking is their responsibility to make the other people who are listening understand what they're saying. I'm going to say that again. The person who is speaking, it is that person's responsibility to make sure the listeners understand what they're saying. It's not the listener's responsibility to make sure you're saying the right thing. That's your job. So when you're speaking, you ask for verification and validation. What I said to you, did it make sense? How did you understand that? Those are some of the types of things you do. That's active listening right there. 80% listening, 20% speaking. Same thing goes through in negotiations. You want to focus on mutual value rather than just winning the negotiation. Mutual value. And in my classes, in my program on here on the podcast, I say this all the time. With him, what's in it for me? That's what the customer or the contract provider is thinking in his or her head. What's in it for me? You're sitting here talking to me, trying to sell me something, trying to deliver something to me. Why should I listen to you? Why should I give you an opportunity? What's in it for me?
Right.
So that's what this is all about when you're doing. These are the 3 points you want to keep in mind. Preparation, Make sure you prepare your thoughts, information you want to try to deliver. Make sure you understand what is it you want out of this negotiation. And also keep in mind what the other party might want out of it as well. So then you do the active listening, where you listen to them. They listen to understand, not just to react. And then you can provide your information. And then the last point is you want to focus on mutual value rather than just winning the negotiation. Now, some people who are ruthless in the marketplace, those dogs who the dog who eat dogs, okay? Those are the ones, they're ruthless. They don't care what you want. They're telling you what they want.
Right. And overpowering you so you don't get to say what you want.
They don't care what you want. They're going to tell you, what they think you want. So, key strategies should include knowing your BATNA, BATNA, that's an acronym. Knowing your BATNA, B as in boy, A-T-N-A, BATNA, which means best alternatives to a negotiated agreement. Knowing your BATNA. So if you know what your best alternative is to a negotiated agreement, that means the agreement is there or the proposed agreement is there, but you want to have alternatives to that as well that you want to throw in. What are those alternatives? And we'll talk about some of those later on, but I'll just, throw a little teaser in there for you. So as part of that BATNA, the alternative is, what value can you throw in there for this other person that you're negotiating with that would entice them and make them say, you know what, this is a good deal. Let's do that. What value can you throw in that won't cost you that much? Something that you can afford to part with, that will provide value to the other party, and it will be win-win for both of you, and everything will be fine. That's what the BATNA is all about. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Okay.
So before you go to the next one, Gilbert, as children, we learned the BATNA early on. I think we might be 3 years old. As soon as we learn how to speak, we actually understand that if we're going to get something from mom, especially if mom is the person that says no all the time, we got to make sure she understands what she gonna get out of it.
Yes.
For you to get what you want, right? So kids understand that best alternative to the negotiation.
and they love to say, and mom, if you let me go stay with little Jimmy next door, stay the night, I promise I'll clean my room all this week.
I'll take out the trash and wash the dishes, and you won't even have to tell me to do it. I'm going to do it on my own.
That's amazing, man. It is amazing. And if we carry over some of those tactical approaches that, we did when we were kids, man, we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Exactly. Because we had it down pat, man.
So setting clear priorities and maintaining a professional long-term relationship, that is a great perspective to bring to the negotiation, man. Long-term relationship is what you want. Co-host, when you and I first met and we started talking about what you did and what I did, and then what your value was and what my value was, we started seeing some connection there. We started seeing some cohesiveness. And then on top of that, when we decide to do the show together and we explore what value each party brought to the table, we start learning more about each other. So those are some of the types of things that I'm talking about, that when you're building the relationship, you want to make it long-term. Because if we weren't thinking of long-term relationship, co-hosts, then one, we wouldn't still be here right now. This is our ninth year. Ninth year.
9 years, because there are a lot of partnerships, and you get that when we're coaching, right? You
Yeah.
just, well, maybe a partnership might help. And they're like, I had a bad experience, and I don't think I want to go in that direction. But
Yeah.
then you don't evaluate the benefit of
Mhm.
having a business partnership where your skills complement the other one's
Yeah.
skills. And so now when you go to make an offer, right, now you can offer up both skill sets, which then
Yes.
makes the deal even more, brings the value up higher than it would if you were just offering your skill set. So the
Exactly.
listening part though, right? Because
Yes.
we had to, I heard when I first met you, I already heard what you could bring far as the contracting, because that's how I learned about the contracting, because you were
Yeah.
doing a presentation for a mutual friend of ours. And then, then once we got to talking and realized that there was some synergy, but I don't think it was really solidified, I think, until we did that contract with at Mount Sac.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yes, man. That was amazing.
yeah, and
That
you
was
just you told me what I needed to do. I executed. All you had to do was go back in and negotiate the contract
yeah.
on an annual basis.
Yeah. And folks, the amazing thing about this, everything we're talking about on this show right now happened between me and my co-hosts. Okay. I'm a male, she's a female. So we're talking about how this type of relationship for women-owned business owners can work. So when Crystal and I first came together, so we know she's a female, I'm a male, so I have a certain perspective, she has a certain perspective. So when I went in to the client and I negotiated the deal, Crystal got involved. I had no doubt that she could do her job because I've seen her in action. She is a star performer. So I knew she was going to wow them. I just didn't know, folks. I just didn't know she was going to wow them that much. So she went in there and she wowed this contract provider. They fell in love with her. And that's something that I want to put out there, guys. When you are trying to negotiate a deal with a client, contract provider, whomever it is, you want to make sure that the things that you're doing, not only are you bringing value, but you're making them fall in love with you. If you can make your client fall in love with you, or a contract provider fall in love with you, guess what? Every time they have a need for your type of service, guess who is first on top of their mind? You. So Crystal did that very well, man. She was amazing. Her delivery rate was what, like 99%? You know,
Yeah, we did
99,
about 90. Yeah, we had about 98%
98.
higher rate after the training program.
The highest rate they ever had. So they embraced that because Crystal went above and beyond to help these clients that she was hired to help. She was supposed to provide bookkeeping services and all of that for them. And man, they loved her. Every time I went into the meeting to go talk and negotiate, they just keep talking about her, how wonderful she is with the population, the target population that we were hired to work with. So
And that population was, um, kind of a what I don't want to call it a throwaway, but a population that people just probably did not think would be um, uh, valuable to
right,
the workforce, right? But these were young women. Some of them, that we had a few men, but
yeah,
young women that have been on probably the county system or support system
yeah,
for probably all of it, a lot of them, all of their childhood life, and then you know how that is just like it becomes a cottage industry, right? And then my mom was on it, so now I'm going to be on it, and they had kids. But the whole purpose of this program was to provide them with a skill set, a employable skill set that they could actually then go to work and
Yeah.
hopefully stay at work. And that's exactly what happened. We had very few that didn't apply themselves. And I'm teaching them the basics of accounting from my
Mhm.
standpoint that
Yeah.
had been doing it by at that point for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And so and some of them, I remember at the graduation, one young lady said, when I came here, all I was somebody's mom or somebody's wife
Mhm.
or someone's
Mhm.
girlfriend. I was
Wow.
never a person. I was never a me. And
Yeah.
so she gave the talk, the little valedictorian speech, and she
Yeah.
says, "Now I'm me, and I am a me that has a skill set that I can go out and make money to take care of my kids." At
Mhm.
that point, I think that was like the first class. I was like, "Okay, I'm sold."
Man, it's amazing, man. And you know what I love, Crystal? I love the way they looked up to you. They respected you. They couldn't wait to come to class each week. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
nobody ever stayed out, everybody. And then you got into, and this happens in my coaching as well, is there, because you cannot separate a person from their personal life. You
Right.
can't, they got drama going on at home. So if they come to work or wherever they're going to go, that drama is not going to stay at home because, there's stress. So I could tell when somebody had gone through some drama, and I'd give them a time to kind of work through it, or I'd create an exercise or something, or I'd start the class with a video so that they could get themselves together, drink their coffee and what have you, and
Right.
then get into it, as opposed to demanding right away. And then eventually they would come and tell me what was going on in their world, and then we kind of would work through that. But I do think that's the listening part. I think
Yeah.
that's very, very important. You got to hear where people are. You got to meet them where they are, basically.
They were very happy to know that there's someone to listen to them. You were listening, and it was just so amazing. So, like I'd say, what we're going through here on this program today is a lot that's lived. It's lived through you. It's lived through me. It's lived through the clients that we interface with. So I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And the thing about negotiation, guys, make sure to me, the key component of negotiation is to make sure it's in writing, have it written, because the things that you agree to verbally, it doesn't mean anything unless it's written down. Okay? You cannot take verbal agreements to court. It doesn't fly. So make sure the things you're talking about and you're discussing and you're agreeing to verbally, make sure the other party is willing to endorse that on paper and both of you sign to it. Okay? So now, what I want to do at this point, I want to go over some top negotiation best practices. So me and my co-host, we're going to go over this together. We're going to do it alternatively. Okay.
Okay. All righty. And tell me if it within how you've used that in your practice, Gilbert.
Yeah. So that's what I'll do. If you're covering an area that I think I can, add something to or endorse, I'll just jump in,
Okay. Sounds good.
But
good.
This is amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the first one, which is prepare thoroughly, which is the preparation part we talked about. So you want to research the other party. If you're going in business with somebody, research them. I did my research on Crystal. I'm sure she researched me too. Found out I didn't have a criminal record or anything like that. You want to research your party that you're trying to do business with. The last thing you want to do is to find out that you are in an agreement with somebody and that person turned out to be a criminal and they're walking an FBI or somebody. You don't want that, guys. You don't want that. So make sure you research them. Make sure you find out a lot of things that's pertinent to your relationship. Because remember, the person you enter into an agreement with is a representative of you. Whether they're a contract provider or whomever, you guys are both out there on a certain project, and each of you are representing a different side of that project. So you want to make sure it's somebody that you feel very comfortable being in that type of environment. And of course, we talked about the BATNA, where we talk about making sure that you have best alternative technique style for the negotiation agreement. Okay. You
And
want
I
to
think, yeah,
go
I'll
ahead.
get to, and then I also think so. Like for us, we're pretty blessed because we work in a kind of a small cocoon
Yeah,
of as big as Los Angeles is.
yeah.
We're really there's it's small, right?
Mhm.
And so if you're good at what you do, then it is not difficult for somebody else to say, "Oh my God, yeah, Gilbert is phenomenal, man." I hear that all the time
Yeah.
about you, and vice versa. You hear that about me.
Oh,
So
for
you
sure.
really only have, and if you and then you see if you have mutual friends that you both respect, and you just ask them, do you know so and so and so? Have you done business with them? And they'll pretty much kind of give you whether or not, and then they know both of you. So you'll go, so what do you think? How would our personalities work together? Because I think
Yeah,
as a woman, you don't want a man, if you're going to do business with someone,
yeah,
I've worked with some men out there in the world that are really aggressive,
yeah,
and because they're so aggressive, and they tend to downplay you to
yeah,
up play them,
yeah.
and so that will not be a great working relationship, and that's even contractual. There's been a lot of contracts that I've had to say, you know what, I can't do this. The
For both
personality
parties.
match has to be there.
And you want to be in a relationship with somebody who keep business. You don't
Hmm.
want them to intertwining personal stuff in the business. None of that.
Yeah.
Especially as a female, if you're doing business with males, keep the business, because once you cross that line and start intertwining personal with it, the relationship will never be the same again. Never. And people are going to start losing respect for each other. People are going to start not performing as agreed to in the agreement. And that's how things are just going to get derailed, and it will not be a good relationship. So please, guys, do not get involved with the people you do business with more than just business professionally.
And especially in the beginning, before you really truly know each other,
Yeah,
and know what you're capable of, and you've gotten to know maybe friends and family, and so you get a better feel for them. Down the line, and that means you may become friends with the family or the girlfriend or the wife or the children or whatever, or the mother or the
yeah,
father.
yeah,
But initially, yeah, you keep it on that level while you're developing and learning each other and seeing how valuable you are to each other, right, in this contractual agreement called a partnership.
that's what I'm talking about. That's
And
what
there
I'm
will be
talking about.
because there's sometimes some side chatter, right,
Yeah,
going on with your significant other or her significant other, that
yeah,
because you're getting along so well,
yeah,
people assume that there's something else happening
yeah,
because for whatever the reason, and still being able to have that conversation, and it doesn't affect the relationship, the business, and what we're doing, right? Because
yeah,
it is what it is, right? That person's going to handle it,
yeah,
and it depending on how well the personalities work together, people
Yeah.
could get the idea that, hey, maybe something else is going on there.
Right.
And then you realize that's not our problem. That's the insecurity of the other person's problem, right? So but I have been in a contract where one of my business partners, these were two females, and one of them, their significant other, we had to actually put that in the contract. That was how toxic that was. We had
So she wanted to add her significant other to the deal that you guys had?
No, the significant other was pushing themselves into the deal.
Oh my Lord. No. We don't do that. We don't do that. That's a surefire way for you to lose your asset and lose anything that you have, because you don't know what those people have been involved in. They could have court cases against them, and then they may lose the court case. Now there's a lien. They're bringing that lien onto you, your business. No.
So we actually had to write it in the contract. There's three of us. We had to write it in the contract that there were to be no involvement, and if something were to happen to that business partner, then their significant other was not to take her place at all. We had a legal and binding contract written up, because they were so pushy and so over the top. And they were that way with their partner. And a lot of times being where that they would win, the significant other would win over this person that was our partner. And so we saw that one too many times, and we could see the interference happening, and like, we got to stop this, because this is getting it. And we were on level phase 1, and we could see that phase 2 was going to be a major problem. So these are the things, and this is why you got to listen, and you really do have to get to know as best as you can. That's the preparation thoroughly, right? And then listening then more than talking, so that you can get an idea on what's happening. So there's an 80-20 rule, 80% of the time, to understand the other person's needs, motivations, and constraints are really, really important. And even no matter how good it looks, if those things are not in place, and as you're moving forward, and you could see that they could be a hindrance down the line, you really have to, listen carefully, intently.
Sometimes, co-hosts, when I'm coaching a client, or I'm consulting with a client, and if I find myself talking too much, I remember what my mom used to tell me growing up. She said, listen, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means you need to listen twice as much as you speak. So I said, that's a good point right there. We should use this in business. So my thing is, if we cannot listen more than we speak to a client, then we're probably in trouble. We're probably not doing the right thing. So yes, that 80-20 rule is golden. And if we observe that, I'm telling you, we'll. And another part I want to add to that 80-20 rule in listening, co-host, is body language. We need to look at a person's body language and try to read, because sometimes we're yapping, and the person
not reading the room at all, man. And the room is
not
screaming at you.
And people are just cringing, like, not that topic. No, don't talk about that. That's not the right place,
And like a bull in a china shop, just straight ahead. Like, did you not read the room? People were showing their eyes, their everything, the body language, everything was saying, stop. I was saying, stop.
And on that same level, co-host, I want to say this. Some people, maybe when they're nervous, I don't know if they're nervous or not, but some people, when they're in negotiations, they try to crack jokes just because they think they're trying to make the room comfortable and all of that. That's the worst thing to do, guys. Do not try to crack any jokes when you're trying to negotiate, because the parties who are in that room to negotiate, they're primarily there for that reason. They're not there to listen to any jokes or anything, because your jokes may not be the type of jokes that they would like to listen to,
Yeah.
And then you make that joke and they go, okay, we're getting ready to sign this deal, but that person said this, so therefore it's off the table. We're not doing any business with them anymore. So that could cost you. So keep that in mind, guys. So co-host, you want to tell us, well, you told us about the listing. Let me focus a little bit on value and not just price. So we want to highlight the value that you're bringing. So first of all, you want to know what your value is that you're bringing to that customer, that client, that contract provider. What are those values? And the way in which you can identify those values and make sure they make sense and make sure it's something that the contract provider or your clients are looking for is, does it address time? Does it reduce time for the client? Does it address resources? Do you provide extra resources for them, or do you minimize the amount of resources they're going to have to come up with? Money, is it going to cost them a lot, or are you going to restrict the cost to them, or you're going to make a payment plan over a period of time that makes it affordable to them? Those are things that make your client happy. So when you're bringing value, your value must be within those three parameters right there. If you're not saving them time, providing them resource, or you minimizing their cost, then they pretty much don't want to talk to you about anything, because they have a pain. That's the pain right there. Those are pain point areas. And if you can't solve those pains for them, then they're just listening to be courteous to you. But in the back of their mind, they're going, okay, I can't wait for this meeting to be over so I can talk to candidate number 2.
Right. Oh, you never want your somebody, going to be looking at the door and the watch and the clock and the calendar and then finally just pick up their phone and
Yeah.
yeah, you never want that.
Right.
Yeah. And then there are so many people that don't understand, keep the business. I get this all the time when I'm talking to my students, right? When they're talking about pricing of their products, right? Or themselves. And people have a hard time with this one because they're trying to think about their pockets and their current financial situation.
Yeah.
They really haven't done their homework on what is the marketable rate for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, and I imagine this happens a lot in contracting because, obviously it's the best bid that wins, right? So if you don't understand what has happened in the past and you go in and underbid yourself and you win the contract, but it's not, you can't maintain, you give up your profit because you find out that you have to outsource some of the contract and you end up giving more money out than you actually make yourself. And so that defeats the whole purpose. So this part is really important. And
Very
you have
important.
to show the value of what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And then the value or your value and what you're bringing to the contract is what really is driving the price, right?
I remember when I was at LACCD as a consultant, even at LAUSD, they would put out a bid, and many of these subcontractors would come in. They have no clue about the pricing because they don't know what the market price is. They haven't done the research. So they decide, okay, how much are they bidding? Do you know what the bid price is? Because they think that they can just go ahead and bid lower and win the bid. But the engineers at LAUSD and LACCD, these are trained professionals. They've been in the industry a long time. They know that you can't just come in with a low price and think and win. It doesn't work that way because they did. But when they're putting out the solicitation, they've already researched the market to see what those items cost and what it would cost the contract provider. So they have an idea of pricing. So sometimes when a contractor or subcontractor comes in under the pricing because they're trying to underprice so they can win, sometimes the contract provider throw that out. They say, this person has no clue of the market. Therefore, we don't want to waste our time because they're going to come in, they're going to do best and final, which is, a short list of proposers. And then, they're just going to go through a whole process with them, knowing they're not going to select them anyway because the price is too low. And what they don't want is to have these guys on the project, working on the project and say, oops, I underbid, so I want to do a change order so I can increase the price. No. It's not going to happen. Most contract providers will not allow you to do change orders. As a matter of fact, under the FAR, they try to make it illegal for people to do change orders. Because some people will come in, okay, it's going to cost $10,000 to do this when the thing costs $50,000, right? They say it's going to cost $10,000. All right, so they win the bid. Now, later on, when they realize that the price is too low, then that's when they're trying to submit change orders to bring the price up to the 50 that it should have been in the first place. Contract providers they're clamping down on that. That's not going to happen anymore. So that's one way. And then another thing is that a contract provider, they have an idea who some of the key players are in the marketplace. So when a sub comes in that they've never known, never dealt with before, or never seen in the marketplace, and they're coming in that low price, they get suspicious of them. They go, we don't know about this one. So those are key things. And you gain a lot of respect from contract providers when you submit your pricing, because what's going to happen is they're going to ask you to lower your price at some point. They're going to go, hey, that's why they call it the best and final offer. That means after they accept your bid price, and they're going to shortlist all the bidders. So they're going to shortlist it to 3. So now they're going to ask all 3 of them, can we get a best and final offer? Meaning, can we get a lower price from you? So if you cannot stick to your guns, if you didn't do your homework, you're going to easily say, yes, I can definitely lower my price. So that's how they kind of know that these guys have no clue about the market price. They have no clue.
Yeah, because they're too anxious, right? Too anxious to lower that price.
Too anxious to lower the price. So they would have known if they have done some research. So then they say, this one, we're going to scrap that one. So those are things to look at. And later on this, we'll talk about people are too anxious to lower their prices of what they do. So I just wanted to throw that in.
But the next one is, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Building rapport.
Yeah, building rapport and professionalism. So, maintaining a collaborative, friendly demeanor, avoiding getting too emotional, especially before you know somebody. Don't come in with histrionics and drama written on the very first day, man, because that's just disaster waiting to happen. And even if something happened to you and before you got there and you're just completely disheveled, then you just need to take a deep breath. Pull yourself together.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can circumvent that by making sure you get to wherever you're going to be in a timely manner. Early actually is earlier than better. But I think even if we go back to the very first one, doing your research. So I had this person was referred to me, and the referral was really a good friend of mine, and so I trusted them in their evaluation of someone, and I guess in a different situation this person probably performed much better. So this person came and said that they were in the cleaning business, commercial cleaning business, and that they were wanting to get a contract at UCLA,
Yeah.
and so they were so they came to me, and I said, well, actually, my brother-in-law is the um director for the housing for the grad students, and I know that every semester or quarter, I think they were semester, I can't remember at this point, they
Mhm.
actually, when everybody moves out, then they do a massive cleaning of all of the units, and top to bottom everything gets cleaned, and it has to happen in a very fast pace, because
Mhm.
right, like in another week or 2 weeks at best, they have a whole slew of new students coming in.
Yeah.
So they need to make sure that this done. It's got to be very professional. It's got to be exceptional, and this is a different kind of deal. So have you actually done anything of this nature? And they told me that they had done it at UC Irvine. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's very similar population. Wow. I don't know if this was that person's first opportunity or second opportunity. They had to hire a staff, and instead of them doing that off-site, they
Yeah.
sent the people to UCLA.
Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord.
And they didn't so that was first thing, and once they got past that, they still, because it was a referral, so they were like, okay, we'll work with this one, but then didn't come equipped with all of the
The
cleaning
proper tools.
the tools or solutions, not that they were providing that. No, this is your contract. You
See,
bring everything with you.
see, that is the thing, co-host, that a lot of proposers and bidders don't understand. When contract providers ask you questions like, have you done this before? They're serious about that. They want to know, have you done anything this scope, this nature, this size before? And then the follow-up question to that, what type of results did you have? Was it a positive result? Was it questionable? Is it incomplete? What is it? How did you handle that situation? So this person lied and said they've done it before. They never did, because see, each project has a project manager, right? And the project manager can be on both sides. It could be on the contract provider side, and one could be on the subcontractor side. So the project manager on the contract provider side, they're going to be there observing, and they're going to be evaluating. So
Right.
when this subcontractor that you spoke about send their workers to the contract provider's site, immediately that project manager know they don't know what they're doing.
Right, like, they said you were hiring, not through us, that we're not hiring, through him, and you should have already. So that was the very first, but they continued to give him an opportunity, but finally they had to let him go.
Yeah,
But
because he was a liability to them.
it was a liability. But there is a happy ending to this story. Many, many, many years later, I had no more contact with this person. I saw him post on LinkedIn that he had just gotten, now this is like 10 years later, that he had just gotten a major contract with UCLA. I guess it was a learning point for him, and I'm sure he actually is. I hear he's doing extremely, and I see it when on LinkedIn that he's doing extremely well. But that was a lesson that he took it to heart, and I'm sure after that he never ever went unprepared. And all of the things, the errors that took place, he fixed that. So years down the line.
At least he took some corrective actions on that.
Right. And then, in most supplier or corporations, the staff turns over.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
in that
True.
10-year period, the staff had turned over and nobody had remembered.
So they
Nobody
don't
was
remember
there
him.
that remembered.
That is good, man. That is good. But yeah, these are definitely signs and clues, guys. And don't think you can outsmart the contract provider or the project manager. These guys have been in the industry for a long time. They know they might be with that particular contract provider for 2 or 3 years, but they may have been somewhere else for 10, 15, 20 years. So they know their stuff. They understand the players in the marketplace. And under this building rapport and professionalism, you know, folks want to make sure they avoid becoming too emotional or taking the negotiation tactic personally, because some people negotiate differently. Some
Mm,
people, they throw out a high number and they say that's our number, that's what we're sticking to. They try to play hardball. When someone gives you a number and they're playing hardball, you don't try to fight them on that. You just try to show them alternatives. you
mm,
know you try to provide them alternatives to say, hey, I know you said this is the price you're firm with, but how about if we did this and this other service right here, it would have cost you this amount. So if we can lower the fees in one area and have it elevated in another area, then I believe, everyone will be happy. You'll be happy. We'll be happy.
mm.
So that's another way of looking at it instead of going, oh no, that's my price and that's how it is. I am not changing.
Not flexible.
I'm not
Check.
you know so these are things, and also, people say to have a friendly demeanor when you go into negotiation, but you don't want to be too friendly. Have a friendly, nice, courteous demeanor or professionalism. Another thing, folks, that you want to do when you go to meet with contract providers, the first person you're going to meet is going to be the receptionist. You want to be the nicest person to that person, because that person is going to take feedback back to that contracting officer also, and let them know what they think of you.
That doesn't like gel. Sorry. My
You
phone is doing their own thing.
Yeah. Yes, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to be nice to the receptionist, the person you meet at the front desk. Anyone else in the office, be very nice to them, because sometimes you don't know who those people are. The person who look pretty simple, like they're just a little office worker, could be the CEO. You never know. So you want to be really nice and courteous to the folks that you
And
meet.
generally, that receptionist, I mean, they're kind of clued in
Oh
to,
yeah,
was the person super nervous or
yeah,
whatever, what was going on while. And
yeah.
sometimes that's a strategy as well.
Mhm.
They leave you sitting out there forever, and seeing how you handle yourself under that kind of pressure. It just
Yeah.
depends. Everybody's different, and hiring and contractors and department heads are, all got their own little things going on. And so,
What I've seen happen before, co-host.
what's
I've
that?
seen where a consultant came into a contract provider's facility to
Hmm.
submit a proposal, right?
Okay.
And while they're there getting ready to submit the proposal, the receptionist dropped $100 bill over on the consultant's side and pretended like she didn't see it, she didn't know what's going on, just to
Ooh.
see how that person would react. The consultant took up the $100 bill, sneak it in his pocket, and start hiding like nothing happened. So later on, the receptionist asked him, "Hey, did you see $100 bill fall on the floor over there?" "Oh, no, no, I haven't seen any." "Okay, no problem." But before
Wow.
that person get called in, the receptionist went in and told the contracting officer, don't even try to interview this guy. This guy is a criminal. Took my $100 bill that I dropped on the floor just to test him to see how honest he is. and we don't want him in this organization. So the CEO came out, said, "Hey, you have something that belongs to my receptionist. You took $100 bill. Give it up now, or we're gonna call security."
How embarrassing is that?
So
Wow.
people do all kinds of things to test you, and a lot of folks don't get that. They don't understand. But because I've been in the industry for so long, I know that I've seen it. So I expect anything when I go into organizations, you know.
Wow, but why would you even have? I mean, that's the things we teach our children. You know, that's the first thing you if it's not yours, don't
Yeah,
touch it. Don't put your
yeah,
hands, your little grubby hands on it.
yeah,
Why would you, especially if you're in an office, why would you put yourself in that kind of position? That
right.
was just well, it says a lot, right? It
Yeah.
says exactly what they were looking for,
Mhm.
that you're not trustworthy. I
Right,
can't trust you because
right.
what the hell is this?
It's unbelievable, co-host. Unbelievable the things that
Wow, that's pretty deep.
yeah. So not only did he not get an opportunity to bid, but now he went on a book that they circulate in the industry to let people know certain people you don't want to do business with, and he was on there.
Because I mean I'm imagining that's a very close net when you have your
Oh
your
yeah.
diversity officers and they're always meeting for these type of meetings that if they see you at one of those what do they call those meet the primes,
When it's a guy,
yeah, and they
maybe
go,
a
oh
guy.
yeah, not him over there, man, because he
Yeah.
did X, Y, and Z.
And the thing about it, co-host, the procurement space is a very tight knit space. Okay, you only have a few players in the industry. You have LAUSD, LACCD, you got LA Metro, you got the county, you got the city. You know, those are the key players in terms of public works contracting. Then you got the private ones, you know, you got companies like the primes, you know, so you got the Kiewit, the Turner, you got those. And then you got other private contractors who do work for banks and insurance companies and all the institutions. So all of those folks, they play in the same pond, they play in the same sandbox, man. So you got to know what you're doing because word is going to get around quickly. Word is going to get around, and every year they have like a procurement summit. When you go there, everybody is there. They're talking. Oh yeah, that's a dude over there who stole the $100 bill. You know,
Woo!
so
Your career is ended before you actually started because you couldn't leave $100 sitting there instead of picking it up and going, "Oh, I'm sorry, did you drop this?"
so
Wow.
the next item, co-host, utilize your strategic anchoring. So you want to go over that one for
Well,
us?
that was the one you just did, the high low. So it's actually make trade-offs. So identify items that are low value to
Oh
you,
yes,
but
yes,
high value to the other person. So
yes,
swap them out as you're reaching. So that's part of that. I think that active listening, right? You got to really find out,
yeah,
you got to learn the art of conversation, having conversation, right? Really
yeah.
being able to ask those strategic questions that
Hmm.
will get you as much information so you understand a little bit of that person's personality, right?
Yeah,
And what
yeah,
that person, what they're really looking for, right? Because
yeah.
I have found even from when I worked in HR that when you're interviewing to replace somebody else, especially if it was a negative or toxic environment, what you're looking for is the polar opposite of that person, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so they're saying certain things in their conversation and
yeah,
asking you certain questions that are just not generic questions. They're
yeah,
questions based upon what that prior person did or did not do.
yes,
Right.
yeah,
And so you need to be listening keenly. So if there's something they say that that person did, and you know, you got to be honest with yourself that you do have the propensity to do that,
yeah,
then you got to offer, you got to make sure you're the things that you do are things that that they're looking for, but without lying. It's got to be
Yeah.
something that you really truly you got. There's no falsehoods here. You got to really be able to deliver it when that time comes. But that listening keenly helps you be able to identify those items that are low value to them, right? You
Yeah.
think that that might be your highest value to you, but they just told you that that matters. That doesn't matter to them. So what
You
is
know
it
what?
that does matter?
You know what I've learned over my 30 years in the industry, co-host?
What's
If
that?
if you let most people talk long enough, they'll tell on
Yes.
themselves. They'll
Yes.
tell on themselves. You know what I'm saying? Let them talk long enough, they'll tell on themselves.
Right.
So, and that's how a skillful leader comes into place, because a skillful leader observes a lot. You observe and you analyze. So when somebody is talkative, I tell you, man, they're just writing their death certificate, because it's only a moment before they tell on themselves something they've done in the past, something sneaky they did, or, and then when you hear that, when the CEO, the contract provider hears that, they're going to go, okay, we don't want this person in our organization. We don't want them doing business. They seem real shifty. They seem like a scammer. We don't want them around here, because if they're scamming that way, or they talk about scamming other people, they're going to be scamming on their invoices, their timesheets, their reports. Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
want.
because they just talking too much because they over
Yeah,
there, they thinking that rapport is there and
yeah,
that rapport is not there,
mhm,
and they're not keeping it professional because they done gone into salesman mode.
yeah.
Um, and as my sister always says, if they're talking too fast, I don't trust them.
That's right. That's right. So these are key pointers for folks to observe. And even though we know these are facts and it's on this list, a lot of folks still ignore it and they still keep talking. And they'll have to get in trouble like 3-4 times before they realize that they need to shut up.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're saying too much. If you were their partner, you'd be under the table kicking them because
Yeah,
you just shut up. Just
yeah,
or that other person, and this happens a lot as well. There's the person has decided they like you and they're gonna make you, they want to do business with you, right?
yeah,
Then you go into oversell mode, right?
yeah.
You didn't actually talk yourself out the deal.
That's a good point, co-host. That's a good point. You need to recognize when you won. Once you won, you stop talking, you stop selling. You stop selling. A lot of people don't know. They just keep selling. Even when they've been offered the opportunity, they still selling. It's like, stop selling.
Exactly. There's so many people that have talked themselves completely out the deal because they did the oversell mode. And 15 minutes back, the person had already decided they wanted to do business with you. And you done
and,
gone into overdrive.
and I've seen this, co-host. I've seen this in the procurement space, and I've
Uh-huh.
also seen it in court. I've seen it in court because sometimes people are there, and the judge, just the way the judge is moving, the judge is saying things in your favor, right?
Yes.
So that means if the judge is saying things in your favor, you don't need to be saying anything else. That means you're winning. Some people just want, but judge, let me tell you this other thing. It's like, come on, man. You already won. So then you go say that one other thing, and the judge said, oh, okay, well, that brings a different perspective to things. Now you start losing.
It happens, people. It happens. So yeah. And then bottom line, everything, as we said, I think even Yvette said, written contracts. You
Yes.
finalize everything in contracts,
Yeah.
read that contract over, make sure ask if you can, look at the contract a day or two outside of the pressure point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go over and really go through it line by line to
Yeah.
make sure that you can actually you can fulfill the opportunity. Don't put
Yeah.
yourself in a position
Right.
that you cannot do that, because if you oversell yourself or undersell yourself, it's going to create a it's going to be a problem for you in the future. And I think the worst, and I'm sure you've seen this a lot, is to underbid, and then they can't pay their contractors, or they come away, and I've heard this even myself, wow, I didn't make any money on that deal. Well, why didn't you make any money on that deal? Right? Because you undersold. You just didn't know you didn't know your numbers.
Yeah.
You definitely got to know your numbers.
Right.
So with that.
So these are things that we want to look at, pay attention to, and some tactics to avoid here in negotiation. Getting emotionally charged or argumentative doesn't work for you. Falling for the first order, the first offer that you get, doesn't work for you, because one, it tells the contract provider something about you. Say, oh, this person is not strategic. They don't know how to negotiate. They're not firm. They'll go for anything. They're saying in broadcasting, the station I used to work for said, if you don't stand for something, you'll go for anything. And that's what this is all about right here. You're getting the first offer, and that's what you jump on. No, don't do that. Research a market. Giving up on concessions too quickly. So when somebody say, hey, all right, no worries, he say, all right, I agree. without having things clarified. No, it's not a good thing. Focusing slowly on winning rather than building a lasting relationship, that can hurt you as well. Though in organizational development, there is a system that we use. It's called task and relationship.
Okay.
They put you in 4 different categories for task and relationship. So if you're high on task, you could be high on task, you could be high on relationship, you could be low on task, you could be low on relationship. Those are the 4 categories. But then you have subcategories, right? So some people can be high on task, high on relationship. They can be low on task, low on relationships. Those are the ones you don't want. If they're low on task, low on relationships, that means they're not going to do the task. They're not going to get along with people. There's no need for them to be there. Right. Now, some people are high on task and low on relationship. Now, high on task means you'll get the job done, but you don't really care to get along with anyone to get it done. So that's like a 50-50 type deal. It could work to some extent, but in general, it won't work.
It won't work.
You're not getting along with the people. Some people are low on relationship, but they're low on task. So those 2 don't work either. So the best position to be in is high on task, high on relationship. Those are the ones contract providers look for. So. And like I say, this is like my system that I have, KYP, knowing your personnel.
Knowing the personality.
Yeah. So people look for that quickly. When you get with people, you quickly analyze them. Okay, are they task oriented? Bam, yeah, they are. Are they relationship oriented? Do they try to work with me, try to get along? Yeah, they are. So that's the kind of person I want to work with. You see what I mean? Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that part in there, because
and that's important, because in today's society, millennials get a bad rap, because I think that was the pampered generation.
Yeah.
And I know, and some Gen X's too. When we hire interns, and I hear that so much right now from people who employees. They're like, oh my God, this generation, you got to spoon feed them everything. No initiative. You got to guide them into everything.
Yeah.
But you want to help them, because they're the next generation, but they were not taught workforce readiness at all.
Right. Right.
So a
And
big
you know
challenge.
what's beautiful about what I just said, co-host. If
Mm-hmm.
you can articulate that to a contract provider, that may help you to win the contract, because
Mm,
your price might be the same as the other competitors that's competing against you, but just the fact that you let the contract provider know you are high on task, that you're high on getting these things done in a timely manner when they should be done, no questions asked, you get it done, and then you're
mm-hmm.
also high on relationship. I want to get along with your team, and I want your team getting along with mine. I'll do what we need to do, provide you reports so you understand what we're doing every step of the way. That will win you guys contracts with a contract provider, because those
Mm,
are the things they want. The reason, a big reason why they're awarding the contract to you is for you to make their lives easier. Remember, they have a
right,
pain. They have a pain that they want you to solve. You
right.
know, yeah. So yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
because why
way.
else? They do it themselves if they weren't looking for you to hire you to take care. I mean, to to eliminate them from doing the certain things that they don't want to do or they
Exactly.
needed a contractor to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
you want to make sure you're coming with all of it. So
Yeah.
Gilbert, what are some of the three that you, in your 30 years in your career, some of the three biggest mistakes that you've seen contractors do?
One of the first one co-hosts is a contractor or a consultant who believes dropping their price before they even have a pushback, uh, that's a good thing. So for example, if I'm a contractor and I present my price, you ask me, okay, so what's your price? I said, okay, my price is going to be to provide consulting for your organization for 3 months. That's going to be 150,000.
Hmm.
Contract provider stays quiet, and they're going, okay. Then before the contract provider even said anything, the person said, "Oh, by the way, I could drop my price if you want. I could lower it." So now the contract provider is thinking multiple things. They're going, "Okay, if they were willing to reduce their price like that, one, they probably don't know the value of their price. They don't know the market price. They don't
Mm,
know their value, or maybe they
mm,
were trying to jack us, to overcharge us." So
mm,
now the contract provider has four scenarios in his head why this may not be a good thing for you.
mm. So they didn't messed it all up because they didn't jumped all over there to, and on top of the fact, if you can lower it that much,
Yeah,
then did you do do you even know your numbers? Did you do your homework? Do you
exactly.
understand the scope of the work that we're asking and how many people you may need in order to execute that? So there's a whole lot of things in that that just did not work.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's mistake number one. Don't take silence for, oh, I need to come up with something alternative. No. You
Okay.
provide the price. If they stay silent, you stay silent too. And wait to
Mm.
hear what they're going to say. Because after the silence, they may very well say, okay, we could work with that. You see what I
Yeah,
mean?
because that silence could be them thinking and calculating and
Yeah.
seeing exactly what they asked for, what they need, and the time frame they needed to complete. So they're trying to say, okay, yeah, that could work. We can make that happen, right? They're contemplating and computing their numbers.
Yeah. Yes. And silence does not mean rejection, guys. It
Right.
doesn't mean that your price is being rejected. And see, in that area, that's where a lot of female entrepreneurs lose, because
Mm,
when they present their pricing, they don't know to negotiate. A lot of folks may get upset about what I'm saying here, but I'm not about feelings right now. I'm about fact. I'm about logic. These are proven things. Case studies have been done on this. That
mm,
women, you see, part of the reason they say women make 80 cents on the dollar,
mm,
it's not necessarily true. It's because they don't know how to negotiate for certain high profile jobs. So the high profile jobs, most of the times they don't get. I go to men who are willing to sacrifice and make, tough decisions when it comes to negotiating pricing. But
Right.
the women and the marketplace that has that take no prisoners approach and know how to negotiate, look how far they get in their career and in the business. You see what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
never leave a dollar on the table because
No.
they recognize the price, they recognize the market, they recognize their value, and they've done their homework. So when they come to the table to negotiate and they put their what's your price, they put their price out there, and the contract provider stays silent, you stay silent too.
Mm.
And don't say anything until that person responds, until they say, okay, we could work with that. Or that might be a little steep for our budget. But even when they say that, listen some more, because they may say, that may be a little steep for our budget, but, let me talk to the board, or let me go talk to our team, let them go talk to their team.
Right,
Never.
exactly. But don't you just, let them, I see what you're saying. So, I think also because women sometimes, again, it's, I guess it depends on what a role or what industry they're in. And
Yeah.
and I think sometimes when you're female working in a predominantly a male dominated platform, feeling confident enough and very secure in the position that you have. Like what's the young lady that's in Vegas that has the electric
Andrea Vigil.
Andrea, right, exactly.
Yeah.
When you talk to Andreas, you know that she knows her business, or Bianca Vovecki, they know their
And they
business,
know
right?
the market as well.
And they know the market. So they are very, very confident in who they are, what they do, and they chose to be in this space. So they took the time to develop that. One, they probably had to develop some hard skin, some shell, a harder shell in order to function in that space anyway. And it probably took a while to get to that place where they felt really secure to be able to say, hey, my price is this, and I'm hardball, and no, I'm not dropping back down, because I'm sure they're tested on that all the time.
I say this over and over, co-host, okay? Because I've used this tactic and it works a lot. And the reason it works a lot, because I've done my research all these years, all 30 years in the industry. I've done my research. I'm going to tell you why it works. And if women listen to what I'm saying here, they're going to see the results. And I'd love them to call me or send me an email and let me know when they apply this technique that I'm talking about, how it works for them. So, I said earlier, pain. Pain is measured in three ways, right? Three ways: time, money, and resources. Most contract providers have those pains: time, money, resources. They don't want to spend too much beyond the budget. They want to, restrain it to a certain level. The resources, they don't have enough. So they would love for the contract provider, the contractor, to bring those resources to them. They don't mind paying for some of that, but if it can make sense to them, they will. Right. And then so time, resource, and money. So when a female entrepreneur is negotiating for a project or whatever, she got to tie that into those three areas: time, money, and resources. So if you demonstrate, because remember, you're bringing value proposition to the table now. You're showing them what value you're bringing them. Okay, resources. Here are the resources I'm bringing to you. That's value. They don't have it, so you have it. Like me, for example, I'm saying, hey, I'm going to help an economic development agency help their small businesses to become business ready, contract ready, and loan ready. They don't have the resources. That's why they're reaching out to me. What resource? What tool and resources do I have to help them in that way? I got my platform, Small Biz Pro. Now, how do you know if your small business is already? Well, you got that assessment tool, right? So when you take the assessment, you know where they are. whether they're at 100% or less than 100%. Now, if they're less than 100%, you put systems together to help build them to the 100%. So you see the resources I'm bringing to the table to help these contract providers win, them and their clients. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
exactly.
If a female entrepreneur can do the same to justify their price, they don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to worry about no 80 cents on no dollar. They're going to be getting everything they need to get because they're showing the contract provider that, hey, I'm going to help you to be in a better position than you were before I came in here. And I'm going to help you to be in that position and do it better than my competitors. You think a contract provider is going to say, no, I do not want that. I don't want to be in a better position. They're going to go,
I say.
They're going to say, where do I sign? Your price is a little steep, but where do I sign? You see what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. So you got to make your value. I mean, just like when you start your business, it's what's the value proposition, and testing your market, knowing where your competitors are and where you fit in that landscape, and there you have it. But no, don't under market yourself.
No,
because you haven't done your research, but also undervaluing yourself because you don't understand the value of time, money, and resources.
Exactly. And especially if you've done some research on your competitor, you know where they're at, you know their limitations, you know what they can do. You bring that into the negotiation too. Say, yeah, I'm familiar with my competitors. I know what they do. This is a system they use over here, which is inferior to mine. Here is my system. This is what my system does. This is what theirs do. And because of that, I know now that I can provide results for you in about 7 days. Can they do that? Can they do that? No, I don't think so. So I would love to work with you. I'd love to be your partner on this project. And just let me know where to sign.
There you go. And
you think the contract provider is going to say, okay, ma'am, I don't think you deserve what the guys are getting. No, he's going to go, you're saving us money.
Right, exactly. It was so funny, and when I go back to when we did when we did the Mount Sac thing. So obviously I had been teaching and training and so forth, and I remember on my way driving, going, okay, now what is this going to really entail, right? Because you asked me, and I just said yes because I trusted you, and at that point, when you asked me, I didn't even know where Mount Sac was. And then when I went to do my, it's like, oh, okay, all right. So good opportunity. I was in my say yes mode at that time. That was my say yes year. And when I got there and I sat down thinking, okay, now what is this going to entail far as a whole interview process and whatever?
Yeah.
And it was like, how many people have you taught? I don't know. 50 at one setting. Yeah. How often? You pretty much 3 times, 4 times a week. Oh, okay, this is done. I'm like, oh wow, that was easy.
I tell you, man. See, once you go in there with confidence, co-hosts, you can't lose unless there's something really out of place happening. You can't lose.
Yeah. So that's basically what you're saying, is just make sure you have done everything that we talked about in the negotiation. Do your homework, practice at home before, so that you're not uncomfortable. Practice in front of that person who is your biggest critic.
Yeah.
Somebody like, sometimes one's parents are more critical than anybody else.
The biggest critic, man. Family is the biggest critic. So do it in front of them.
So do it in front of them, and then be prepared and do your research if that's the company.
And be able to present those 3 areas of pain. If you have solutions to those 3 areas of pain, or even 2 of the 3 areas of pain, that will help you to win. You don't need to be going there. Well, I know that women only get 80 cents on the dollar. That's a bogus argument, man. You don't even bring that up.
You're going to bring that up.
Yeah, show how you're going to dominate this thing. You
Yeah.
don't care who your competitor is, if it's a guy or a female, you're going to dominate because you got the tools, you got the resources, and you can make this thing happen. This is why I'm so excited about my mentorship program and the folks in it, like Izette and like Pat, because they don't negotiate from a position of weakness anymore. And I think the next parts of this co-host, I think maybe next week when we do that show, we can go over it, because I want us to go over it with much detail when we're talking about negotiating from a position of power. So yeah. But my team, man, the folks in my mentorship program, I'm very confident about them because of what I've imparted in my class. I've taught them. I've shown them tactics, strategies, and all of that. They know that when they're negotiating or marketing themselves, they market their value proposition. They market those 3 areas of pain. Because remember, if someone is selling you something and they're not touching on the pain yet you're going through, it's like, do they really understand me? Do they understand what I'm going through?
Right, exactly. And that's so very important. So, guys, that was our conversation on communication, the art of negotiation. And so next week we will finish up this series with digital communication.
Yeah.
You and AI combining both of those, because I think they both have one, being able to master those is really important. And I think the other thing in this is something that we kind of touched on in a broader sense is storytelling, right? Being able to talk about your business and what you're good at and how you've succeeded in that. That's part of that storytelling, and that is how, and being confident when you're actually doing that, so people will truly understand that what you know your business. No one can tell Gilbert that he doesn't know about contracting. His history demonstrates it, and in his conversation as he's communicating with people, it even shows that. And then everybody in the industry, he has built up that reputation within the community, and within the community of supplier diversity, that they know he's very good in this space. So I always say, Gilbert, you are the guru in this. I don't know too many other people out there.
Thank you, co-host.
That as far as showing and doing and teaching on this space, there's a few others, but you kind of get it. You got it from the corporate side. You got it from being on the inside. You got it from being an entrepreneur. And so you kind of understand it from all sides. I think the only other person from a female standpoint would be Robin Billups. Because she's been on all sides of it, and she includes the banking side of it to it as well. Right. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed our show today, and that there's some key points in there that you're gonna take away and for your business as you move forward into contracting, if you're not there yet and you're moving in for there, and if you are in it, there's some enhancements and maybe some reminders for that next contract that you go after. Come back next week. If you like this program, go over to our YouTube channel, hit that like button, ask some questions if you are interested on how you can actually position yourself to be adopt the art of negotiation, and also want to venture on into contracting, supplier diversity as it stands as it is right now. We don't know what the future may look like, but for right now, these are some tools that work. They have to make some adjustments.
Yes. And also my contact information is in the chat, guys. Go ahead, you can copy it. My email, my phone number, my name, website. This website you can enroll at if you want to enroll in the mentorship program. You go there, buchananassociates.net, buchananassociates.net. You go there, you enroll, you can watch some of our videos from our previous mentorship graduation with some of my wonderful proteges, man. They're showcasing themselves and their business. I just love it, man. I love this group, man. These guys, and Izette and Pat, man, they really took care of me. They're the ones who are responsible for managing that graduation. They put the certificates together. They went and got the paperwork together. They coordinated everything for me, man. I couldn't have done it without them. So I can't leave them alone. I'm looking for those contracts that they can jump on and do what they need to do and make their money.
Awesome.
Using my technique, the 3 pain points: time, money, and resources. You can provide solutions to those 3 areas, guys. I'm telling you, that 80 cents on the dollar crap they're talking about out there does not apply to you.
There you have it. All righty, guys. We're going to sign off, and we will see you back here next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Be safe out there, and until next week.
So long.
Bye-bye.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.